Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today I am here to tell you a story about my holiday experience. So I had 3 weeks off for the summer and for the winter, and I decided I would take a trip to Cuba. Now, most people were wondering why I went to Cuba, especially why I was going to go by myself. Mainly is I didn't have any friends going at the same time as me, and it just felt like, I don't know, winters are very tough, especially when you live more in the northern hemisphere and not getting a lot of sun. So I decided to book a trip to Cuba, and I was so excited. So it was shortly after Christmas. I drove back home. I went to the airport. I actually went to the airport 3 hours in advance, like you're supposed to. And the second I got there, I didn't see my flight on the table, so I went to check in, and they had told me that my flight had been delayed 5 hours. So, I'm a very calm person, and I decided that 5 hours, I could handle that. So I checked in, I went through security, and I began doing some laps around the airport. Usually I can stay pretty busy for the most part. I listened to a few podcasts. I did a little bit of shopping in some of the stores. I walked lots, took some pictures for Instagram. My battery was running low, so I figured I'd better hold back a little bit. And then just shortly after lunch, I look at the screen and see that my flight to Cuba had been delayed an additional about 8 hours, so I wouldn't be leaving till that night. So at this point I was pretty ticked off, so I went back out through security to complain and to talk to the people from the flight attendant people. And anyways, they told me that that it would be delayed until 11 p.m. that night, and I said I'd been at the airport already about 6 hours, so eventually after some fighting they finally gave me a hotel room and a meal coupon. Sadly, the meal coupon didn't go too far because it's the airport, and I had a taco salad or something, and it ended up being the full worth of the ticket. And as I asked, looking very stressed and worn out, if that meal ticket could include any type of beverage for adults, and sadly that was not included. Fine, so I went back to the hotel and I went on a jog, and on my jog I put the video of, you know how you can run to different scenes, so I was running to the scene of running through a forest, and oh, hold on, I have a phone call. This never happens. Alright, sorry for that interruption. I actually never ever get called, which is, well, not surprising for me, but probably surprising to hear from other people that I don't get calls a lot, but you know what, it's all good. A friend from school called just to chat, some one-on-one time, which is nice, something I don't usually do. I consider myself more introverted, to be honest. So back to the flying story, and I know YouTube videos are supposed to be short, so I'm going to try and sum it up. So I was at my hotel, I went for a run, I went to the pool, tried to make it feel like I was in Cuba, even though I was still stuck in the cold winter of Canada. And I eventually, I called the airport and I said, put me on flight alerts, make sure, let me know. Oh, because they told me it was going to leave 8 a.m. the next day. So I decided I'd get some good sleep. So I called them, telling them to make sure they'd contact me. I signed up for the flight alerts online so that I'd be texted and called. I did all that, but they were pretty sure that it would not leave till 8 a.m. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to bed. So at 9 o'clock I finally fell asleep. I know that's not that late, but I'm an old man inside. And so I slept, and I woke up at about 3, just feeling a bit nervous about potentially missing my flight. I go on my phone and I check the flight status, and it said that it had left at 1:24 a.m. and I had missed my flight. And so after crying for a little while, I finally got up, walked to the airport from my hotel, which wasn't a far walk, and told them my flight left without me, and they said, well, we'll get you your baggage. And I'm like, when will I get my refund? And I'm just like an emotional wreck, and usually it takes a lot to break me, but that broke me. And they're like, you're not getting a refund, you missed the flight. And I was just like, I didn't get any alerts, I wasn't told anything like that. So I was furious, but I kept my cool. I called my mom and pretty much broke down, because you know how calling your parents can make you break down if there's something bad going on. And so after complaining for a while, I finally went home, just completely defeated that I had missed my flight and I wasn't going to go to Cuba, and I would have to spend a week alone in the cold with nothing to do. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so I tweeted all the news places and got CBC to come do an interview with me, and I vented, and that was really therapeutic, to vent to people and to let my story be heard. Finally, at the end of the day, I finally received an email that I would get a refund. It took another 7 days to actually transfer it, but I was so relieved. But still, the fact is, I was supposed to be in Cuba, so I spent that week having a staycation. I literally had a drink, I had nachos, and I had on my laptop a screen showing vacation in the beach, you know, those meditation videos. So I had one of those, and I tried my best to imagine that I was in Cuba. Still really challenging, and I hope that that never happens to any of you. I did find out that the flight that was supposed to come, and it was delayed. I finally found out why. I didn't find out until a couple days after that there had been a big storm in another province, and that is what made the whole delay. But there was no communication, and I was so frustrated. But on the bright side, spring break is coming up in another month, and I am going to have a chance to redeem everything that happened and go on another sunny holiday, and fingers crossed that it will happen. Thank you for listening to my horror story at the airport, and I will have more stories to come. Thanks, have a great day.